So good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for those of you who woke up early to be here with us and everyone who connected online. We're really excited to have this interactive masterclass with all of you today. And following yesterday's very interesting discussions, we're very pleased to take a deep dive into the main theme of today's discussion, the importance of culinary centers as drivers for innovation and development. Gastronomy is and will continue to be a fundamental element of travel. Like sleep, it is indeed an aspect that affects our daily lives and therefore one of the most effective drivers of transformation we can find. Through innovation and its application across all aspects of the gastronomy tourism value chain, which touches nearly every economic sector, we're getting closer and closer to meeting the goals of the 2030 Agenda. This achievement has not been fortuitous, however. It has taken years of work, research, and development. This spur of development has been very much supported by the work taking place by entrepreneurs, such as the ones we met yesterday, and gastronomic innovation centers, and the work behind them being carried out by the like-minded people we'll meet today in Bruges. These innovation centers, through diverse and holistic approaches, are driving positive change in the development of gastronomy tourism. While the image of them is shifting from not only being perceived as centers which provide technical training and hospitality to form the traditional tourism workforce we know, they are now being recognized for what they are, as leaders in the innovation ecosystem, sourcing and stimulating talent by providing an enabling environment through capacity building, offering new opportunities and guidance for entrepreneurs from all walks of life. Those developing new projects, specifically in high-impact areas across the tourism value chain, which create jobs, especially in underdeveloped areas. However, without further ado, today we want to hear from the real experts working on the ground in these dynamic sectors, making a difference in communities and contributing to the sustainable development of the sector. Our two speakers today, they share a mission, but from two different points of view and walks of life. First, I'd like to introduce Sheila Russell. For the last 10 years, she's been the Director of Studies at the School of Artisan Food, which she'll tell us more about. And prior to this, she has spent over a decade working in the rural tourism sector, helping small food tourism producers and farmers in the Peak District National Park to create supply chains within the local hospitality industry, celebrating local produce and focusing on the importance of traceability. From the other side of the channel, we have Begoña Rodriguez, and she's the director of the BCC Innovation Research and Technology Center of the Basque Culinary Center in the Basque Country. She has curated and is maintaining the continuously evolving innovative environment we have gotten to know yesterday through the conversations to create disruptive projects, attract gastronomic talent, and accelerate startups. Sheila and Begoña will be sharing their presentations from their respective institutions today, and then we will open the floor to questions from all of you here today with us, and hopefully kick off an interesting conversation on the centers and what's in store for the future. So thank you, and Begoña, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to stay with all of you today. I am going to present to you what Basque Culinary Center is. I need the presentation. Okay, perfect. So, Basque Culinary Center is really, in fact, an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem mixed up of 3 different organizations. The Faculty of Gastronomy Sciences, with a 4 years degree of culinary of gastronomy, with a lot of masters for professional. One of them is specialized in tourism and gastronomy. We also have a company which goal is to promote the special events around gastronomy in all the world. And the third one is BCC, is the Research and Technological Center, is the organization in which I work. Let's see with a video what BCC innovation is, please.
Gastronomy. Today, gastronomy is a source of social well-being and activity that builds relationships and communities. The way we live, the way we consume, the impact of technology, of logistics, are transforming our eating and consumption habits. gastronomy represents the quality of food, health, sustainability, and the economy. This is the context VCC Innovation, a gastronomy technology center, has emerged from, with the aim of helping to transform the value chain of gastronomy and the restaurant industry, to provide differential knowledge to businesses and institutions with a local while also global approach. With 25 people, including researchers from various fields, technicians and managers, we work with more than 40 companies and in partnership with renowned research centers. Carrying out three main activities in the following fields. Research. We carry out research into food to make it healthier, into our eating habits, and into what personalization in gastronomy means today, because not all of us are the same. We are concerned about sustainability. That's why we use byproducts to turn them into dishes with gastronomic value. Innovation. We design new gastronomic developments. The sensory qualities of new products are tested. Promotion of new businesses. We support entrepreneurs in the development of new technology-based business projects. Incubating and accelerating young companies, connecting them with investors and with potential clients. Health, sustainability, business development. BCC Innovation, working on the new paradigm of gastronomy.
So the culinary experience is, of course, one of our main part of our DNA, but we also, as we have saw in the video, we also work in sensory analysis, health, sustainability, and the last area that in which we are working in is digitalization. In this area, we have created a living lab called LABE, Digital Gastronomy Lab. It's a space, it's a living lab in which we co-create, experiment, develop, test, and validate new concepts, new products, services, experience with an important technological component. And all of this we do with an open innovation philosophy, working with startups, citizens, companies, and other research and technological centers, other universities, in order to co-create all of these new services to improve, to boost the digitalization in all the food value chains, and especially in restaurants. So let's see with a video what LABE is.
Every visionary project has a reason behind it. LABE, Digital Gastronomy Lab, certainly does. The way we cook, consume and share around the table is changing. Culinary and restaurant management processes are immersed in a technological revolution. New digital environments bring with them new challenges that are turned into opportunities for innovation at LABE, Digital Gastronomy Lab. A living space filled with synergies between businesses, hospitality, chefs, startups, institutions, and diners. A unique, open, living innovation lab in which to co-create, prototype, and test new concepts, products, services, and experiences in a real restaurant. A connecting hub that runs projects for digital change in gastronomy towards a delicious, sustainable, and healthy future. An incubator and accelerator for talent and enterprise, from the idea to kitchen and table. A hub for collaboration that fits technology and gastronomy together throughout the value chain. In short, a living laboratory where gastronomy meets the future 4.0.
So it's important to do innovation and research projects with restaurants, with food industry, but it is also important to provide support to new agents in the game board. We think that this new challenge will be the guarantee to the future of the sector. We have mentioned several times the word gastronomy, but what is gastronomy? For us, for Basque Culinary Center, gastronomy is a lot of things. We have a holistic approach to this word. Gastronomy is, we understand, is not only what we eat, but also everything that contributes to making those food reach our plate. It's farmers, it's food industry, it's citizens and consumers, of course, chefs, everything. Gastronomy has a close relationship with our health and well-being, and it is at the same time enjoyment. It also implies a close connection with the culture of the region. It's one of the main parts of the DNA of the culture in a region. And finally, gastronomy is connected with other sectors, as, for example, tourism. We travel from one place to another just to know the buildings, but also to taste the gastronomy, the food, their products, the smells of their products of the city. And we work with this holistic view, both in the faculty and also in the Research and Technological Center. And for us, gastronomy is also a way, is a tool for the economic and social development of the region. And I have two examples of this view. We have been working both in Finland and in Ecuador. In Finland, for example, the Central Finland, the government of Central Finland, call us to help them to do the strategy. We put in the same table a lot of agents, such as Citizen, the Health Department of Central Finland, the Education Department, the cluster, the industry, and so on. And we try to co-create a vision together to go or to improve the gastronomy in Central Finland. And also, finally, we have been doing a project in Ecuador that I will say that is a innovation. It's a social innovation project. In this project, we are running a project to encourage farmers to create their own companies to sell, to promote also the relationship among them in order to sell their products to the companies, to the retailers, to chefs, and even to export them. We also are working with chefs just to improving their gastronomy proposal for being more attractive to tourism. And also we are creating and launching a new network of little gastronomic laboratories in order to explore the potential of their local products and at the same time design and execute action to protect the rich biodiversity. So for me it's a clear example, it's an amazing example of how it's possible to boost local economic at the same time protecting the biodiversity and to make the region more attractive for tourism. So all the ingredients in the same table for a better future. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Begoña, and now we will hear from Sheila to hear what she's doing in the UK.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stand up and walk around a little bit, if you don't mind. Delighted to be here. My name is Sheila Russell. I'm from the School of Artisan Food, which is located in Welbeck, Nottinghamshire, UK. And this opening slide here shows, oops, I need to go back. This opening slide, we'll start again, shows us the entrance to our school. So it's located on the Welbeck Country Estate. So it's a very rural location, absolutely beautiful, surrounded by woodland. And within Welbeck, we have a number of foodie type of businesses. So we have Stitchelton Dairy, we have a farm shop, we have Welbeck Brewery, and we also have Welbeck Bakehouse. So the school was originally the old fire station for Welbeck, back in the days when the fire carts would have been drawn by huge Shire horses, built in the 1870s. So the building was converted, turned into the school that we see now, and we opened our doors back in 2009. So I'm going to talk you through our aims of the school, what it is we do, why we do it, and how we do it. I'm going to talk about our flagship programme, which is our Advanced Diploma in Artisan Bakery, our foundation degree in artisan food production that we run in collaboration with Nottingham Trent University. Talk a little bit about our students, where they come from, what they then go on to do, our links with industry, and a little bit about the businesses that have been created as a result of students completing these courses. The last slide, I'm going to be talking about our future plans and the things that we really hope to go on to do with this school. So this is our advanced diploma. So we ran the first diploma back in 2010. We have had around 200 students now complete the advanced diploma and go on, some into business, some are working as bakers. It's a very unusual course because it basically means that anybody can come and study with us regardless of background, regardless of training, and leave the school in 6 months as a professional artisan baker. So as you can imagine, we're teaching 2 years of a foundation degree in 6 months. So it's very intense, but it's very hands-on, it's fully practical. The training rooms that we use at the school are all equipped to replicate an industry type of environment. So students are using the equipment that they would use in industry. So things like your deck ovens, the spiral mixers, and they are actually baking at volume. So you can imagine we have mountains of bread in the school day after day. The smell is amazing. It's a shame I can't share that with you standing up here today. So half of the content is based around artisan bread baking. So students learn to bake in excess of 150 different types of bread. But what makes this course really unusual is the fact that we teach the full science behind baking. And the reason we do that is so that students can then go on to be innovative, create their own businesses, design their own products, create their own products. The only way that you can really do that is by learning the full science behind the baking process. So it's all very practical. To accompany that module, we have artisan patisserie and viennoiserie. So if you imagine when you've walked around Bruges, and hopefully you'll have seen some of the beautiful boulangeries here in the city, you've got those added value products in the windows, your croissant, your pain au chocolat, your tarts, your tray bakes, that type of thing. So students learn to create a range of these products as well. The next module, and this is incredibly important, is creating an artisan business, because many of our students that come to us are career changers. They want to go into business. So with this module, you actually write a business plan. So you may come to the school with a seed of an idea, something you want to go on to do. This gives you the tools to turn that idea into a reality and write a business plan. So you learn about entrepreneurship, marketing, finance, running a business, and you put that all together in a plan, and then you pitch it to industry experts to get some constructive feedback. And finally, work placement. So after your 5 months of tuition in the training rooms, you go on into industry and you actually go as a placement, as a student, into a bakery, or it could be in a patissier's shop somewhere, and you go and spend 4 weeks actually working in industry. Okay. So these are some images that show what it's like. This is a typical day for students in the school. These are a typical array of products. So you've got your pain de campagne, we've got some spiced apple breads, baguettes, and these are some of our advanced diploma students last year actually working on various different products. So the students really enjoy that hands-on, that practicality that they get to do every single day. Our next course that we're running at the moment is our foundation degree in artisan food production. So this is delivered in collaboration with Nottingham Trent University. We're now in our 3rd year of delivering that course. And it's a slightly different layout. So whereas the diploma focuses very much on artisan breads and patisserie, with this course, you get to cover a much wider type of content. So you've still got your bread production, your business, your patisserie, your viennoiserie, but you also cover cheese making and dairy, butchery and charcuterie as well. So we bring those skills in. You also complete an employability module with Nottingham Trent and consumer nutrition and health. So this is a 2-year course. Student profile is completely different. These tend to be younger students that are going straight into university. But they're with us for 2 years, and it gives them a really good understanding of sourcing, of ingredients, about provenance, because throughout any student's journey at the school, we talk about the importance of that. We take students to have a look at where the wheat is grown, how it's milled. We look at the differences between roller milling and stone ground milling and how that impacts on the nutritional qualities of bread. So we feel it's really important that students understand where their ingredients are coming from, how they're produced, and how that impacts on the final product as well. And here's some images. So in our top left, we have our head of butchery, Andrew Sharp. This was taken just last week, and this was the students breaking down a couple of sides of pork, and in this case, so we're looking at lamb and mutton that week. We've got students creating choux pastry, chocolate eclairs, and then the images in the bottom half of the screen are from our Year 2 students on the advanced chocolate patisserie. So all of our tutors at the school are industry experts. They all work in industry. It means that they are really up to date with any developments, any new types of products, any new trends, any new techniques. It means that we're able to bring that straight into teaching, so the students are receiving contemporary, cutting-edge skills really at the height of that industry. So our tutors are very well known, and that helps us with our connections for students going forward seeking employment in the industry. So here's an example of some of our students. So we've got students in this picture here who have gone into business. Our students come from all over the world. We've had students from Korea, Kazakhstan, Brazil, Portugal, Italy, France, Sweden, as well as our UK students. We offer bursaries for our advanced diploma students. We secure refugee funding for 1 student every year. And we also have Barbara Curtis Trust, which is a local charity. And that funds a place for a student from the local area on our advanced diploma programme every year as well. So if students don't go into opening their own business, they go to work in the industry as bakers, because after 6 months, they're ready. They can go out and seek employment. I mentioned earlier about work placements, where we send our students out into the wider world. That's not just in the UK. We have had students go to Sweden and San Francisco as well in the past. But what we do is speak to industry about what are those skills gaps. You know, what we're seeing is certain skills that are really disappearing within the industry. And our school's founder, Alison Swan-Parente, built the school on those principles. She found that there were lots of things that were disappearing, lots of skills that were in danger of being lost, traditional heritage skills, artisanal skills. So the whole programme is built around Alison's initial findings. So she's been a real driving force in taking the school forward. So we consult with industry and we talk about courses and what we would like to do. And we like industry to inform us about what do you need? You know, what's missing? What are you seeing in your employees that you need to improve or you need to add to? So going forward, I'm really keen to consult with people in the relevant industries in dairy, butchery, charcuterie about what skills you would like to see delivered and how we can do that. Okay, so here are some examples of the businesses that have been created by some of our former students. And I've chosen these ones because the business models are all very different. So the first picture, which is your top right, that's Ian Waterland, who graduated in 2012. Ian now teaches with us as well. but he converted his garage at home into a small bakery to serve his local community. So when we talk about business creation, it's not just about opening a shop or a retail outlet. These businesses can take many different forms. Compagno on the left. These two students, Neil and Bonetta, actually met on the course. Bonetta was a refugee student from Syria, and Bonetta and Neil went on to purchase Compagno Bakery. They now run that together. And Compagno originally was owned by a former student, and he'd started that business model by delivering fresh, hot-baked bread in a converted bicycle to commuters at a train station in Manchester. So the business model doesn't need to fit a particular type of thing. And then we've got Hale Bakery, which was opened by Sam Dennis 2 years ago. That's in Plymouth. And on the left here, we've got The Forge, which is one of our biggest success stories, one of our first businesses created by Martha Brown. She graduated in 2011, and that business has grown and grown and grown. So it started with a small unit. It now has a cafe. It has a retail. It's increased in size, and she's now employing 5 generations of students in that bakery in Sheffield. So there's lots of different types. And here on the right is a list of other businesses, some in very rural areas like Two Magpies, Northern Rye, which was set up in Newcastle. So they come from a variety of different locations, but all have made an impact on the local community. All have provided really good artisanal bread to the people living in those areas. So going forward, what we really want to do, as I mentioned, is we need to keep putting those skills back that are in danger of being lost. So Alison Swan-Parente, our founder, is launching a new charitable project. She's going to be working with local schools and GP surgeries to promote sustainability, healthy eating, how to source locally, how to grow your own food. We've got a new advanced diploma, butchery, charcuterie and dairy, that we're in the process of starting to write at the moment. And we're looking to put in some more professional, shorter courses that are going to keep addressing that skills balance and bringing those heritage and traditional skills back onto the agenda. So that is the school. Thank you for listening. Okay.
So thank you, Sheila. And before we invite our guests to ask some questions, I have one question that I'm actually going to direct to both of you, because they've both been very comprehensive presentations on what your institutions offer. But for our audience, sort of as innovation drives innovation, what step have your institutions taken that is making the biggest difference in the work we're doing for the development of innovation, and especially in rural areas? So, well.
If you want to start.
Okay. I think it's interesting when we talk about innovation, because immediately you think about things like technology and equipment and cutting edge. And for us, innovation is kind of taking a step back into the past, and it seems to be a theme that I've heard over the last couple of days listening to other speakers yesterday, where people are talking about finding and resurrecting grandmothers' recipes and those things of old and bringing them back into today. So us at the school, we kind of are doing that. So it's our innovation really is bringing back those things that are in danger of being lost. But at the same time, that's not to say that we're not using the equipment. You know, it's not just about hand finishing and doing everything by hand and hand mixing. We're still using equipment that makes it viable to produce on a large scale in an artisanal bakers. With regards to rurality and, you know, creating businesses, we're seeing that with our students, you know, going into particular areas and setting up bakeries, because within the UK we've lost so much in the high street, you know, butchers, bakers, those small businesses closing down with supermarkets, which has just kind of annihilated a lot of that market. So it's really important to see our students bringing those businesses back onto the high street.
Thank you. It looks like the demand is going there. The bread looks delicious.
Well, I say that innovation is one of our core values in Basque Culinary Center. I can mention several examples of it. First, in the faculty, they are the students and the teachers are permanently developing new methodologies to be on the forefront of the knowledge and to transfer all this knowledge to the students and the society as a whole, to continue being an international referee. In the Research and Technological Center, we are creating new knowledge in all the areas that I mentioned, because you have to know more than the industry to transfer all this knowledge in terms of innovation project to the companies and to chefs and so on. So you must do, permanently updating you and updating your knowledge. I can mention also one of the samples of innovation could be LABE, the project that I mentioned, the initiative that I mentioned, in which we put together three important elements, I will say, citizens on the center of the innovation. Digitalization. Digitalization is one of the, of the most demanding work nowadays. But I truly think that is going to transform all the sector, and especially the tourism and gastronomy. And also the philosophy of open innovation to co-create with the rest of the world. I mean, you can have a lot of capabilities in your organization, but the rest of the world, there are more talent outside your own building. So it's important to co-create with the rest. And we are thinking nowadays we are thinking in another initiative like LABE, but more global, which is called GOE, Global Open Ecosystem, in which we can co-create with all our stakeholders innovation, not only for restaurants, but also for all the food value chain. And finally, I have to mention that we are permanently, running a lot of different projects. I love very much one of our initiatives that is called Basque Culinary World Prize. In this initiative, we award the best, gastronomy experience in the world. And gastronomy understand, as I mentioned previously, in this very holistic approach. So, for example, the last winner was Jose Andres, who is doing a very marvelous, thing, a very marvelous stuff with people that can afford to pay their own food at their home. So we have in general a lot of initiatives, and the worst or the best is that we are permanently thinking about new ones. So innovation is definitely one of our core business.
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely continuously evolving, and we look forward to hearing how GOE goes. So now we're going to give you all an opportunity to ask our experts questions. So just if you can kindly introduce yourself and where you're from first, and then who your question is directed at, and then hopefully we'll be able to share an interesting conversation with you. So if we have any volunteers. Brave soul, thanks.
I'm Eric from Vancouver, Canada, and a culinary consultant. But I'm just curious, can you guys talk a little bit about your business models, and like from a private sector or government-funded perspective, how do you go about running these types of facilities, and where do you work with corporate partners to provide some of that innovation side, or how do your business models work?
Corporate partners. Do you mean if we work with corporate partners in innovation?
Yeah, or are you charging for your innovation services? Like, what are the business models around the BCC and the artisan? Obviously, your business probably comes more from tuitions and things like that. But are there sort of other funding sources that go into these types of initiatives?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, well, for us, to work with corporate partners is quite easy this last year, because I think that we are used to think in this philosophy that I mentioned, open innovation, and big corporates, our clients, or even our, some part of our stakeholders want to innovate, but want to innovate with others. And they look with, very, very carefully to what is happening in the sector. And some of the most disruptive activities or disruptive projects in the sector, both in gastronomy and also in tourism, are provided by startups. So sometimes we connect the big companies with a small startup that are, launching their new products and services to connect them. So for the startup, it's very interesting, of course, to connect with a big company to sell their products and to be helped by them to encourage or to do a step forward faster. And for the company, it's also a very big, a very important and successful activity, because they can connect very fast with, with this disruptive innovation. They don't need to develop inside in their house this innovation, just to see what is happening. And for us, it's very easy to make this connection, because we are permanently searching for these new startups, for watching that what is happening, around all the sectors, and so we can connect both worlds. I will say very, very easy, very, very easy. So I don't know if I respond to you, but we do, in our daily activity. We work with a lot of startups. And we also work with big companies that want to co-create with us new products, or to want to, to connect with this new, I will say, new atmosphere or new agents.
Thank you. So we're a charity, we're not for profit. And I mentioned our flagship programs, which is our formal education, our accredited courses. But one of the things that we also do is we do work with businesses, we do work with corporates. We are careful about who we work with. We like to make sure that they have the right approach, the right ethics, that they're, a really good company that we can work with. And they can come to us and maybe ask us to help with product development. So we have hosted days where we have helped businesses to create new products for them to go out into industry with. We also do things like team development days, work with companies that want to come to the school and learn some skills. So we do work with private companies and corporates, but it is on quite a small scale, and it's a smaller part of our business. Our main function is for education, as well as the short courses that we also offer as well to people, one-day leisure courses and things like that.
Well, thank you. And I think, just even the concept of open innovation and working together with corporates, and it's really working together, and that's how the development is spurred even more quickly. And do we have any more questions from the audience? Oh, here we go. Sophie.
Hello, I'm Sophie van den Bossen from Visit Flanders here in Belgium. As some of you know, we are at the starting point of creating a new culinary center in Flanders. And if, as you are already there, I would ask you, what is the most important recommendation you can give to a destination to start with a culinary center? What's the main thing we have to keep in mind to get a lively culinary center, as you both have?
I would say, Sophie, the thing that's really important is what you are offering. So you have to make sure that there is, first of all, a market for it, and then you need to get the right tutors, because that's incredibly important, because that is a real pool. People want to be inspired, they want to learn the skills, they want to have the best teaching and the best knowledge. So that's really important, just first of all to know exactly and be really, really clear about what it is that you're actually going to be delivering and to whom. And as well as when we were talking the other day, we were talking about the actual building and the infrastructure and how you use the space well and most effectively.
I suppose that you have decided to create the center yet, I don't know, I'm not sure. But in general, when we have worked with other regions, for me the most important one is to analyze, deeply analyze what are your strengths and what your weaknesses are. Because, and with all of these ingredients, it's important to do your own strategy, because sometimes I will say a training center could be the response in this initiative, in this strategy, but sometimes not. So it depends on the region, I will say. But if you have considered all of this, all your environment, and you have decided to create one, I will say that connection for me is one of the networking. Networking is one of the most important one. Because you can define your own program, your own roadmap. But nowadays, we compete in a global world, so it's impossible to have all the capabilities in your country or in your region or even in your center, and you need to connect with others that are reference in certain areas. So for me, it's one of the most important part for launching a new initiative. And because of this, for example, in BCC Innovation, we are very, very young, comparing with the faculty. And to compete with a very little organization, you have to strengthen all this connection to learn more and faster, but also to compete or to balance your own profile of activities. I will say that connection networking is one of the best. And perhaps to attract to your center reference, for example, we work with chefs, with international chefs that help us to also, I suppose, they have a lot of things to say and to learn and to show us, of course, but they also help us to do or to put us in the map, in the global map. So I will choose this one, chefs or referees, and also networking with other centers, other universities, other agents. It depends on your value proposal, of course, but for me it's important to work very, very hard in this line. Thank you to you.
No, just the fact that you asked that question is super important, because from what we've seen especially from UNWTO, that we work with member states and countries from all over the world, and within the innovation ecosystems that are growing very, very quickly and very, very well, is because they have a strong component from the government supporting the institutions that are actually making the work happen on the ground. So thank you.
And to have a value proposal different or very innovative from the others is also important, because if not, you compete in the same line, and competing in the same line be similar to other and be the last is very difficult. So differentiation, like as a strategy, as a basic strategy, I will say is really important. Thanks to you. You're welcome.
Back to Canada.
I'm curious, we're here for gastronomy tourism. Do you think on these culinary centers and schools, they're very educational or research focused, but is there an opportunity to build, if you're building a culinary center, to have more of public facing tourism focus to it in terms of inviting visitors to regions? I mean, BCC's pretty closed in terms of its development. Your school's very focused on that educational side. If you're building something new, do you think there's more of an opportunity to create a destination for tourism and tourists coming to a region?
It's interesting because a lot of the students that come and stay with us, they choose the school as a destination in itself, because Welbeck is very rural. It's the students actually live on site as well, so they live in this beautiful, calm, very green environment, which is part of the attraction for a lot of students when they come to the school as well. Because we run lots of short courses, in everything from one-day baking to chocolate, butchery and dairy, all manner of different things. And we do speciality things at certain times of the year. And we've got historic pies coming up with Ivan Day and Christmas fermentation and pickling. So students come to us to learn those skills, but then they also turn it into a weekend visit. So it does impact on tourism in our local area as well, because it does become a destination and they turn that into a weekend break. So they can actually stay on Welbeck. There's holiday accommodation. So, and also for hotels within the local area, we've got people coming, staying with us on a regular basis. So it does then open the doors to Nottinghamshire, Peak District, surrounding areas for people to go out and explore and visit while they're actually up at the school studying. So it does have a kind of knock-on effect, and it has a further reaching consequence and impact, positive impacts for local hoteliers, restaurateurs and things like that.
Well, I will say that a center could, of course, attract tourism to any part of the world, of course. But I will say that it's not only the point that you must, as a country or as a region, you must work. You have to work in different areas. If you want to be attractive, you have to have a region attracted from tourism point of view. You also need to have a very different gastronomy proposal in your restaurants. The accommodation must have in the level that you want. It must be a safe place, for example. So you must take into account different aspects to be attractive for tourism, because only with one part of the ecosystem perhaps could be poor to develop, to real develop the area, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. And anyone else? Or? Okay, well then I have actually a question for Sheila about her students. So what has been the most successful model in supporting the students and innovators in developing successful business models that drive change?
Okay, so part of the tuition that the students have with us is the business module that they study called Creating an Artisan Business, and that's led by our tutor Yvonne O'Donovan. And it just helps for them to crystallize their ideas. So some students will come to the school and they have a small nugget of an idea, something that they would like to go on to do. And throughout their 6 months at the school on the advanced diploma, it really helps them to grow that idea and start to turn that into a reality. As part of the process of helping the students develop their business ideas and business plans, we bring in alumni, previous students who are doing what they want to do. So people who are actually in business, they come and talk to our students about the pitfalls, about what they've learned, about what they would do differently. And that's incredibly inspiring when you're a student and you're sitting there and you're about to embark on your 6-month journey and you're thinking, how do I get from here into that business that I'm really interested in running? So to have that input, those skills and knowledge, but also to meet the students who have done it is really inspiring, and that helps for them to then go on to create those businesses of the future.
Oh, thank you. And now, Véronique, so what are the most pressing challenges that you see today for innovation centers in terms of development?
I couldn't mention only one. I think it's a variety of things, no? Because for us, that we work in 6 different areas, no? You need to be, at the forefront of all of them in knowledge. So you have to collaborate with different universities and research and technological centers around the world in all this area, in health, because it's important. Food and health is related, is intimate related. Gastronomy, of course, itself, you need to develop. We have a challenge here because we have to feed a population that is increasing very fast around the world. So we need new proteins. We need to discover and to work with new ingredients, proteins, and so on. So we have a very demanding challenge in this area. We also We also have to understand better the consumer. So sensory analysis is one of our main part of a study, because, if you launch to the market a product but nobody knows, nobody wants to eat it, it's a disaster, it's a failure. So we have also to take into consideration what they want, and what food or ingredients, what emotion a food or ingredients evokes in a consumer, to develop all these new products in the artificial intelligence, blockchains, and all of these 4.0 technology in both in tourism and in the food value chains. And it's, I think it will be demanding in all the areas that I mentioned, and health, of course, is one of the ones that we must take care, because food and health are really connected, and we want to understand very well what if we eat some products, which are the result in our own body. Because if I eat a product and you eat the same product, the results, the response of our body is not the same. So we need to understand very well, as we call personalized gastronomy, to feed all this population. So we have enormous challenge in all the fields that we work. So we have a very tough path to work in.
No, well, thank you. No, and we definitely have challenges ahead of us. So since we're almost out of time, I have one final question for both of you, and it's just so in a word or two or in a sentence, if you can leave us with where you see the future of these innovation centers, especially in terms of the development of gastronomy, tourism, and rural development.
I will say reinventing, you can say in English, reinventing every year, because the only that is permanent is the change.
I think it's constantly being aware of what industry needs are, and working to make sure that the workforce is skilled, and that students and employees have the understanding that is needed for them to progress and make a real difference when they go into the workforce. And that for me is about understanding all the things that we've talked about last 2 days: provenance, traceability, sourcing locally, sourcing ethically, sustainably, and making sure that those skills continue to be developed and taught going forward.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for waking up early and being here with us today. And, well, if you have any more questions for us, you can reach us at our respective emails and online, and we hope you enjoy the coffee break, and we hope you enjoy the next master class. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hello again, and thank you everyone for joining us here for this second masterclass today. We're really excited to be here with you, and we want to make sure it's especially interactive. So following yesterday's discussions, we're very happy to be with you to take a deep dive into the main theme of today's masterclass, which is the importance of culinary centers as drivers for innovation and development. Gastronomy is and will continue to be a fundamental element of travel. Like sleep, it's an aspect that affects our daily lives and therefore one of the most effective drivers of transformation that we can find. Through innovation and its application across all aspects of the gastronomy tourism value chain, which touches nearly every other economic sector, today we are getting closer and closer to meeting the goals of the 2030 Agenda. This achievement has not been easy, however. It has taken years of work, research, and development. This spur and development has been very much supported by the work taking place by entrepreneurs, such as the ones we met yesterday, and in gastronomic innovation centers, and the work being carried out behind them with like-minded people like the ones that we have here today with us in Bruges. These innovation centers, through diverse holistic approaches, are driving positive change in the development of gastronomy tourism. While the image of them is shifting from being perceived as centers which provide technical training such as hospitality and cooking to form the traditional workforce that we know today, they are also being recognized for the leadership that they are developing that they are. They're sourcing and stimulating talent by providing an enabling environment through capacity building. They're offering new opportunities and guidance to aspiring entrepreneurs from all walks of life, to those developing new projects, specifically in high-impact areas across the gastronomy tourism value chain, all in turn creating jobs and supporting underdeveloped areas. Without further ado, we want to hear today from the real experts working on the ground in these dynamic centers, making a difference in communities and contributing to the sustainable development of the sector, and that's why we're here with you today. Our two speakers here today share a mission, but they come from very different points of view and walks of life. So firstly, I'll introduce Sheila Russell. For the last 10 years, she has been the director of the studies of the School of Artisan Food, which she'll tell us more about today. And before this, Sheila has spent over a decade working in the rural tourism sector and has helped small food producers and farmers in the Peak District National Park to create supply chains within the local hospitality industry, celebrating local produce and specifically focusing on the importance of traceability. Then we have Begoña Rodriguez from San Sebastián, and she's the director of BCC Innovation Research and Technology Center of the Basque Culinary Center, and she has curated and is maintaining the continuously evolving environment we have gotten to know yesterday with disruptive projects, attracting gastronomic talent, and accelerating startups. Sheila and Begoña will first be sharing presentations on their respective institutions, and then we will open the floor to questions from all of you and hopefully kick off an interesting conversation about this topic. So thank you very much, and firstly we'll hear from the Basque Culinary Center and Begoña.
Thank you, Adaya. It's a pleasure for me to stay with all of you today. I am going to present what Basque Culinary Center is. In fact, Basque Culinary Center is an ecosystem makes up of 3 different organizations. The well-known one is the Faculty of Gastronomic Sciences with a 4 years degree in gastronomy science, but also with a lot of masters addresses to professionals, one of them collected or related to gastronomy and tourism. We also have another organization, another company, which goal is to promote special events around the world in gastronomy. And finally, we have the Research and Technological Center, BCC Innovation. Let's see, please, in a video what BCC Innovation is.
Gastronomy. Today, gastronomy is a source of social well-being and activity that builds relationships and communities. The way we live, the way we consume, the impact of technology, of logistics, are transforming our eating and consumption habits. Gastronomy represents the quality of food, health, sustainability, and the economy. This is the context BCC Innovation, a gastronomy technology center, has emerged from, with the aim of helping to transform the value chain of gastronomy and the restaurant industry, to provide differential knowledge to businesses and institutions with a local while also global approach. With 25 people, including researchers from various fields, technicians and managers, we work with more than 40 companies and in partnership with renowned research centers. Carrying out 3 main activities in the following fields. Research. We carry out research into food to make it healthier, into our eating habits, and into what personalization in gastronomy means today, because not all of us are the same. We are concerned about sustainability. That's why we use byproducts to turn them into dishes with gastronomic value. Innovation. We design new gastronomic developments. The sensory qualities of new products are tested. Promotion of new businesses. We support entrepreneurs in the development of new technology-based business projects. Incubating and accelerating young companies, connecting them with investors and with potential clients. Health, sustainability, business development. BCC Innovation, working on the new paradigm of gastronomy.
So in the Research and Technological Center, we work in all these areas. The culinary experience is, of course, our main part of our DNA, but we also work with sensory analysis, health, sustainability. And this last year, we are launching a new line, a new knowledge line that we call digitalization. In this part, we have created a living lab called LABE, Digital Gastronomy Lab. In this space, in this building, in this living lab, we co-create, experiment, develop, test, and validate new concepts, products, services, and experience with an important technological component. And we do all of these things with an open innovation philosophy, working with startups, working also with citizens that are in the center of the innovation, working with another research and technological center, universities, companies, very different companies, and to co-create the future of the gastronomy. Let's see, please, in a video what LABE is.
Every visionary project has a reason behind it. LABE, Digital Gastronomy Lab, certainly does. The way we cook, consume, and share around the table is changing. Culinary and restaurant management processes are immersed in a technological revolution. New digital environments bring with them new challenges that are turned into opportunities for innovation at LABE, Digital Gastronomy Lab. A living space filled with synergies between businesses, hospitality, chefs, startups, institutions, and diners. A unique, open, living innovation lab in which to co-create, prototype, and test new concepts, products, services, and experiences in a real restaurant. A connecting hub that runs projects for digital change in gastronomy towards a delicious, sustainable, and healthy future. An incubator and accelerator for talent and enterprise, from the idea to kitchen and table. A hub for collaboration that fits technology and gastronomy together throughout the value chain. In short, a living laboratory where gastronomy meets the future 4.0.
So we, of course, do innovation and research projects for companies, but we also support new agents in the game table, in the game board. We think that new talent in the table guarantee the future of the sector, and because of this we have an accelerator program. We have several prizes related to gastronomy and tourism as today's, and we also have a lot of activities to talk to entrepreneurs and to provide advice and to provide support to all of them. But we have been talking about gastronomy, but what is gastronomy? Gastronomy for us in Basque Culinary Center is a very holistic word. For us, we understand that it's not only what we eat, but also everything that contributes to making those foods reach our plates. It's food, of course, it's farmers, it's consumers, it's retailers, is research and innovation centers, is everything around a table, okay? But also gastronomy for us has a close relationship with our health and well-being, and is at the same time enjoyment, entertainment. It also implies a close connection with the culture of a region. Gastronomy and our culture is really have a close relation. And finally, gastronomy is connected with other industries, such as tourism. We travel from one place to another to know their buildings, to know the people, but also to taste their products, to have new experience around gastronomy. And we, both in the faculty and in the Research and Technological Center, work with this big idea, holistic approach. Gastronomy is also, we deeply believe that gastronomy is a tool for the economic and social development of the regions. And I have bring to you two examples of this idea. Some of them is in Finland, some of this one is in Finland, and the other is running in Ecuador. In the Finland one, the government, the central Finland government, called us to help them to do a strategy to increase the importance in gastronomy in the region. So we have collaborated with them, taking into the same table and dialogue with farmers, with the government health department, the education department, also the citizens, in order to make a strategy for the region. For example, they have choose the idea of doing really a living lab, not in digitalization as the one of ours, but in around the well-being, the concept of well-being, because it's very important for the region. And finally, I have to mention the project that we are running in Ecuador. In this project, we are encouraging farmers to make their own companies and to collaborate among them, and in order to sell their products to retailers, to chefs, of course, and even to export all of them to other countries. We are collaborating also with restaurants and with chefs in order to increase the gastronomy proposal. And finally, in this project, we are also launching a network of little gastronomic laboratories to explore, I will say, to explore the potential of all of their local products, and at the same time design and execute action to protect their rich biodiversity. So for me, it's an amazing example of a social innovation project. In this project, we demonstrate that it's possible to boost the local economy, protect the biodiversity, and at the same time be a more attractive region for tourism. So all the ingredients in the same table for a better future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Begoña. And now we will hear from Sheila about the School of Artisan Food in the UK.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name's Sheila Russell. I'm Head of Studies at the School of Artisan Food, and this opening slide here shows you our our school. So this is what you see when you arrive at Welbeck. So the school was founded in 2009 by Alison Swan Parente, and her family owned the Welbeck estate, descended from the Dukes of Portland. This building was established in around 1870 and would have been the old fire station for Welbeck, but not in the days as we imagine now with fire engines, back in the days when fire carts would have been drawn by large shire horses. So Welbeck Estate covers hundreds of hectares. Within the estate itself, we have Stichelton Dairy. We can't call it Stilton, but it's a organic Stichelton Dairy that produces its own cheese. We have a farm shop, Welbeck Brewery, and we have Welbeck Bakehouse. And the school is the jewel in the crown. So it was founded with the aims of putting back into the economy, back into the community, the skills that are in danger of being lost. And those skills are artisanal, traditional, heritage, skills in bread making, in patisserie, viennoiserie, cheese making, butchery, charcuterie, pickling and fermentation, and all manner of anything foodie. So we run lots of leisure courses, one-day courses for people who are hobbyists, who just have an interest in food that want to learn some new skills. But we also run some professional formal education courses as well, which I'm going to talk to you about today. So our first course that we run is our advanced diploma in artisan baking. So this is a 6-month program, very intensive, as you can imagine, because essentially what we're doing is a foundation degree, which would normally take 2 years. We're delivering that in 6 months. So it's full on. The students are actively baking. They're creating products day after day. So this is what it looks like. So half of the content is based around bread. So the school is kitted out to resemble an artisan bakery in the training rooms. We have 2 bakery training rooms. We have a fully equipped dairy and a butchery as well. So the students, when they join us, sign up for a pretty tough 6 months. And, you know, we do tell them that it is going to be tough, but it's incredibly rewarding, because essentially you come to the school and it doesn't matter where you've come from, what your background is, what your previous training is. You come out of the school in 6 months as a professional artisan baker, and the only way that you can really learn those skills is by getting your hands in the dough every day and actually creating products. So this is the structure of the course. Half the content is based around baking different breads. So students learn in excess of around 150 different types of bread. But what makes this course quite unique is that we deliver the science that underpins that understanding and that production. So that then enables those students to not just follow recipes, but to actually write their own recipes, develop new products. Those are the skills that we heard from industry is what is missing. That is what's needed in the industry. So we're delivering this on the advanced diploma. So the next module is artisan patisserie and viennoiserie. And if you imagine going into a beautiful boulangerie, and hopefully you'll have seen some while you've been in Bruges this weekend, all those products like the croissant, pain au chocolat, pain au raisin, the cakes, the tarts, the tray bakes, those are the types of products that we deliver on that course. So students come out of the diploma with the ability to create a small range of artisanal patisserie and viennoiserie. Creating an artisan business is there because lots of our students come to us are career changers. They've come from all different walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds, from different countries. But many of the students want to go on to open their own business. So with this module, we teach them how to actually develop your ideas, write a business plan, understand how to market your business, how to set up that business, how you operate it, the finance, the planning, all of those things. And the students actually present a business plan at the end. That's how we assess them. And finally is the work placement. So students go off into industry for 4 weeks and test out their skills. And that's a really good way for them to realise just how much they've learned, because they're putting that into action when they go out into industry. So key to all of this is about the ingredients, where they come from, the provenance, traceability. We take the students to actually go and have a look at flour mills to see where the flour comes from, how it's milled, how that impacts on nutritional qualities, how that impacts on the final product. We are a charity, so we're not for profit, but we have been able to attract some bursaries for students. So our first bursary is for a refugee student that we support every year. And we also work with Barbara Curtis Trust, and they have funding for one local student from the Lincolnshire, Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire area to join us every year as a fully funded place as well. And these are some pictures of our students hard at work. So this is a typical day for our students. These are the types of products that students start baking from day one. Okay, they're baking at volume from day one, so they very quickly get the skill level up. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you've got any previous experience. It really doesn't matter. We start everybody training from the assumption that they know nothing about baking whatsoever. So you can see here we've got some baguettes, pan de campagne, we've got some spiced apple breads. These are students from last year. So very, very practical, very hands-on, and the students love coming in every day and just knowing that they are turning their dreams into reality and they're getting to bake and learn to be an artisan baker at the end of it. So our second formal education programme, we deliver in collaboration with Nottingham Trent University. So we're now in our third year of delivery. And this is a slightly different course because it's delivered over a full 2 years, and the modules that the students study vary a lot more wildly. So rather than being just bread and patisserie, the students cover other elements such as artisan dairy production, where they learn how to produce a range of cheeses. We look at farming, we look at the UK dairy industry, we look at different types and breeds of cows and how that impacts on the cheeses that are produced. Butchery and charcuterie, again, we look at the UK industry. That's skills that are really struggling at the moment. The average age of a butcher in the UK is late 50s to early 60s. So, you know, these are skills that we really need to get back into younger people's lives. Lots of colleges and schools now no longer teach these types of skills. So it's really important that we are providing the opportunity for those students to learn about these things. So it's good practice through understanding the seasonality, local supply, and also having that knowledge, those production skills. Okay. So again, here's some images. These are a mix of this year's students and some students from last year. So we've got some butchery going on there in the top left, and these are from our patisserie. And the bottom row of pictures there, that's the advanced patisserie module. Now, all of our tutors work in industry, and the reason for that is we didn't want the school to become this kind of small, closed environment where we weren't in touch with what's happening out in industry. So all our tutors are actually consultants. They work with businesses, they work with bakeries. They bring that knowledge into us, so any new trends, anything that's new techniques that are developed, we're able to incorporate that straight into our training. It gives us that flexibility. Our tutors are well known, they are world class, they compete at world level. So I mentioned that we have students that come from far and wide, all over the world. To name a few, we've had students from Korea, Kazakhstan, Portugal, Brazil, Sweden. We've got students from America at the moment, from the EU, as well as our local British students. Ages range from 18 is our youngest student, and our oldest student that completed the diploma was 64 years old. So it doesn't matter what age you are. What we look for is that you have the drive, you have the passion, that you really want to do this, and that secondly, you are physically fit enough, because this is a demanding course, not just mentally, but physically as well. Okay. So we work closely with industry because it's incredibly important to make sure that what we are delivering is what is actually needed in industry. We consult to find out what are those skills gaps, what can we do to help address those skills gaps, and create courses that are going to actually give you what you need for your employees going forward. And as a result, we've created, a number of new businesses and jobs going forward. Here's an example of some of these. So all these businesses listed on the right-hand side are from our students. So the models are very different. So I'll talk you through some of them, because it's not just your traditional type of bakery retail models. The first picture on your top right is Ian Waterland, who graduated 2012. He also now teaches part-time for us. And he set up a micro bakery in his garage to supply his local community because they don't have any good bakeries in the area where Ian actually lives. So he's been operating that as a small business from his home. Compagno Bakery on the left is run by two students who met on the course. So Neil and Benetta. Benetta was one of our refugee students from Syria. They are now running Compagno in Manchester. And they purchased it from a previous student. And the original model was a bicycle that was used, which delivered hot bread taken straight from the ovens to commuters at Manchester Piccadilly train station. So there's a variety of different types of business setups. We have students that are interested in working in mental health, students who are interested in going into social enterprises, working with refugees, having community bakeries. So essentially, we're trying to kind of rebuild those skills that are missing. You know, the UK, those traditional shops that you think of, your butchers, bakeries, patissiers, have been in decline for years since supermarkets kind of took over our streets. So it's great to see these businesses actually putting these skills and these products back into communities, rural communities, but also in cities as well. So we now have Hale Bakery. This is a recent addition. This opened in Plymouth. That was Sam Dennis from 2 years ago. And the last picture on your bottom left is one of our oldest business startups, which was in 2012 called The Forge in Sheffield. And that was started by Martha Brown at the very young age of, I think, only 24 years old. Opened that bakery, expanded it, added a retail element to it, added a cafe to it, expanded again. She's now employing 5 generations of our students, and the business has grown and grown. Every single one of our business startups has actually succeeded. We haven't had a single business go under or fail. If anything, they grow, but then you get to that point where that's a question in itself: how much more do you grow? You want to keep the integrity of what you do, and you want to keep everything as artisan as possible. So going forward, we're looking at a number of new ideas that we're developing at the school at the moment. So the first is very close to Alison's heart. So that's our founder, Alison Swan-Parente. She wants to work with local schools and GPs to get those skills back into schools, but also about healthy eating, about sustainability, about ethics. So that project is becoming very close to launch point now. She's secured some funding for that. I'm looking at writing some new advanced diplomas in butchery and charcuterie, and also in dairy. So I'm really keen to know what the industry is looking for and what that might end up looking like. I don't know yet, but that's the next part of the journey. We're also looking at developing a range of shorter professional courses, so people that may not be able to commit a lot of their time can come and do something that still leads to a qualification and gives them some professional skills. And it's all about, for us at the school, it's teaching those traditional, those artisan skills that are in danger of being lost. That's really why we exist. That's what we are all about. So thank you for listening, and I think we're going to move on to questions now. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Sheila. So I have a lot of questions, and because they're two very different models, both with a lot of impact, especially in terms of job creation. But the masterclass is for you to ask your questions, and since we have a considerable number of people, I'd like to give the opportunity first to the audience. So for those of you that have a question, if you could please introduce yourself, the institution you represent and where you're from, and then who your question is directed towards, in order to have a better understanding. So if we have any curious volunteers first. No?
Hi, I'm Lindsay from ESP Culinary Consulting based in Vancouver, Canada. And I'm just wondering, it's a question for both of you. Do you think it's important to integrate local food heritage into culinary innovation centers? And if so, how's that reflected in the work that you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, my turn. Local farmers are always important for have a better and a more solid food value chains. But for example, in LABE, in the space that I mentioned in the video, we have a lot of different innovative projects, and one of them is especially working with farmers. We have, and in this project, for example, we choose farmers, or we are working with farmers, but at the same time with digitalization. We have a project called Dynamic Calendar, in which farmers, for example, in the rural areas, think what they want to produce, and when they are going to harvest their cultives, their products, and at the same time they introduce this information for chefs. And chefs in LABE, for example, know exactly what they are going to produce, in which area, in which time, in which period they are going to harvest their production, so they can adapt very fastly their gastronomy proposal to the things, the products that are cultivating in several local parts of, in this case, in San Sebastian. So, for example, it's an example of how this different world can work together. In this case, through digitalization, but can work together to improve both their production, their efficiency in their chain, in their daily basic. So yes, definitely we work with farmers.
Yes, is it Lindsay? Yeah, we feel it's really important with our teaching at the school that we incorporate that local knowledge, so that students are aware of local ingredients, what the specialities are, and it's particularly important for students that are going into business, because if you're setting up in a particular area, you need to be able to deliver products that your customers really want, and price everything correctly as well. In the UK, for example, we've got a huge range of weird and wonderful local specialities when it comes to breads. It's Stotties in the north east, barm cakes, and Lincolnshire plum loaf, and there's all kinds of these strange but fabulous products that have got a huge heritage going back. So it's important that students understand those products and are able to bear those products in mind when they're going into business. It keeps those rural traditions alive, but also if they're in tourist areas, we know from working in tourism, lots of customers, they want to have that sense of place. They want to purchase a product that's unique to that area, that's created using products that have been sourced locally, that they can take home, and that will then remind them and give them a flavour of where that product has come from. So yeah, it's something that's really important to keep those traditions and those products alive.
And not only that, it's what drives the tourism in and of itself. The intangible cultural heritage is what really how the destinations diversify and really meet the demands of the consumer. But thank you for the question. And does anyone else have a question for our experts? Yes.
I'm Peter from Visit Flanders. You're both relatively new institutions, and we in Flanders, we still have to start our culinary center. I'm curious to know, how were you met? How were you greeted by the existing educational system? Did they consider you to be an extra credit to their pupils, or were you considered to be a threat, or how did that play out? I'm very curious to know.
Do you mind if I go? I think, we now work with Nottingham Trent University. This is a relatively new collaboration. We're in our third year. And I think because what we're delivering is so specialist, it's very niche. There aren't many organisations, educational institutions in the UK that have the facilities to deliver actually what we're delivering. What we've seen in education in the UK is in further education, colleges and schools, there's been a huge loss in things like culinary arts and food production, bread making. Butchery doesn't exist in teaching in schools anymore. So I think institutions, it was interesting when we started working with Nottingham Trent, they view it as adding value to what they offer, so it sits beautifully alongside their food technology, their food science and their chemistry tuition, and then the students come to us and learn the practical elements, so it dovetails in quite nicely and sits alongside it well. But we're a very small organisation. We have less than 12 staff, so you know we aren't delivering at a huge scale, but it's something that, you know, because our courses are accredited, so we've managed to receive accreditation in our own right as a standalone independent organisation. But we're very open to working with organisations where we can complement what they're doing in universities.
Mm-hmm. Well, in our case, we have two different organizations. The first one was the Faculty of Gastronomy Science. When we created it 10 years ago, I suppose that some people thought that we were crazy because, you know, there was a lot of training for chefs in the world. But we wanted to do something really, really special and very different from others. So students in the faculty study, for example, anthropology, chemistry, communication, nutrition. I mean, a lot of different, huge variety of areas of items that are related with gastronomy, but are not also how to cook. How to cook is supposed that they are going to cook well, you know, but they have a very holistic approach and very holistic way. And they also, they have the philosophy of learning by doing. So they have a very, very practical opportunities to in restaurants, but also in the industry, in the food industry, in the tourism industry, in other research and technological centers to put into practice all the knowledge that it has. So for me, one of the key of the success is to do something that was in the same line, but was something really different from others, I think. And with the Research and Technological Center, we do the same. Several years before, we only have 4 years of age. We are very, very young. We are trying to do the same. We are not a normal food technological center because we show or we view or we think that gastronomy is not only culinary experience, is much more than, you know, how to cook one ingredients and so on. So we repeat the same formula. We are creating something that is, we think, that is different, that has our own DNA. So I think it's one of the key of success of both companies, of both organizations.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Well, and I have a few questions myself. So, as creating an innovative environment, this is a question for both of our speakers, is already a challenge, especially in academic institutions and within those environments. What is the biggest challenge to maintaining what has been already created and developed, which is a challenge in of itself, and keeping up with the demands and the ever-changing environment?
I think it's really important to have those industry links to be able to continually almost be like taking the temperature, you know, what's happening in industry, what's changing, what are the new trends, what skills are missing. So I think it's important to continually have that consultation, and that can happen in a number of ways. You know, through direct engagement, but also through engagement with our students who have set up businesses, also through our tutors who go out and actually work in industry and are in there working in their specialisms every single day. So I think you can't stand still. You have to be constantly looking at what's happening and what needs to be, you know, if it's skills that need to be replaced, what are they specifically? How are they best delivered? Is it best delivering that over a number of weeks or in blocks, or, you know, what does that look like? And I think the only way that you can continually stay at the forefront of what is needed is to have that constant, that dialogue, conversation with artisan industry.
I will say that innovation is one of our core values. We were born, as I mentioned, in a different way, trying to be special. And it's difficult to maintain, you know, the level to be innovative every year. But I think that we are trying. We are trying, always trying every year, launching to the market new initiatives, new projects, and constantly reinventing ourselves. For example, in the faculty, they are always updating their methodologies to be at the forefront of knowledge, to transmit all this knowledge to the students, of course, but to the society as a whole. And yes, in order to be to continue being international referee, students have the opportunity to, you know, to experiment new experience in the research and in others, research and technological center, in restaurants, in industry, in tourism companies, and so on. So they have a, you know, a lot of, I will say, a very holistic view of their training. And in BCC Innovation, especially, we also are launching this new project or initiative, as for example, LABE. In LABE, we have joined together 3 ingredients that I think that are very important. Digitalization. All the sectors are going to transform, are going to shape. Digitalization is going to shape all the sectors, especially ours. And we want to deal with these, you know, opportunities. So we want to, you know, to develop new knowledge around it and to be very close to those tremendous technologies such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, and so on. We also have in this laboratory another important word that is open innovation. So it's important to be innovative. It's important to co-create with others. All the talent is not in your house. The talent is outside, so you must connect with them. And the third part of LABE, of this initiative, is citizens, because the consumer must to have in the center of the innovation. So we have all these ingredients to create new projects in this space. We are also designing another space for working in open innovation, but not in the last part of the food value chains in restaurants, but also to co-create, or to work in open innovation with all the food value chain. And finally, I have to mention an initiative that I love, that is Basque Culinary World Prize. In this initiative, my organization reward the best or the most interesting gastronomy initiative in the world. Gastronomy and understanding with this holistic view, not only culinary, not only food, no? And for example, the last winner was Jose Andres, who is doing, amazing things with people that can not afford, food every day in their homes. So for me, I will have to say that is, permanently you have to design new services and launching these new services to the sector and cooperate with others.
No, well, thank you. So you have to be dynamic at least and do a bit of everything to stay up to date. But as I see that most of our guests here today represent destinations, sort of also again for both of you, what piece of advice would you give a destination looking to implement an innovation center in gastronomy? And how would you be able to support them?
Yeah. I think work with within your local community, your stakeholders, get the support of organisations that are around you, and really try to figure out what skills are needed to be delivered where you are, and how you can actually get that information from stakeholders. I mean, every region, every country, every area has got different needs, different requirements. So it very much depends on whether you're wanting to kind of deliver in a local way, delivering to local community, or if you're looking at more of an international reach. It's just making sure you've got a really good, unique selling point, and you can deliver it in the best way that you possibly can, deliver the best experience that you can for your customers.
Mm-hmm. I will say that before creating a gastronomy center, I will recommend to analyze the region, to analyze the strengths, the weakness, and before of this analysis, taking into account the different perspective of the regions, of all the agents, all the actors. Perhaps the result of this analysis could be to create this center, or perhaps not. It depends on the region. But if you decided to create it, for me it's essential to do something that is special, that must be unique in the world, that you have to have your own personality, your own character, to be different, because if not, you are one among others.
Okay, and now this is just specifically related to rural areas and the way that innovation centers, although yours is located in an urban environment and others in rural, how do the projects implemented in your institution support job creation in rural areas specifically, and address the major issue that we're facing now, which is depopulation?
Mm-hmm. We've seen a number of jobs created now by students that have left the school and gone on to establish their own businesses. So it ranges. So it's some rural areas, it's also cities, it's also in areas where there's quite a lot of social deprivation, and bakeries have gone in there and set up and created jobs and helped to change community by bringing really good local produce and baked goods into that environment. So we've seen a number now in various different areas, and each one is completely different because they've tailored it to what their customers actually want and what's needed within that particular area. So some are serving community, there's some that have gone into social enterprise, but they've all managed to retain something that is unique and special to that particular area. I'm not entirely sure how many businesses. I really need to tot that up when I get back to the school. But we're looking at a considerable number of students that have gone into business and then created job opportunities as a result of doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the population in rural areas is also a problem in Spain because it creates an imbalance between the regions. So I will say that you have to you have to put the economic wellness in the area, because if not, people want to live, we want to live well, and people leave the rural areas and go to the big cities. So for me, it's important to boost the entrepreneurship, for example, or to startups, to new business in these areas. And it's also important to connect this rural business with the urban ones, as we mentioned previously, farmers working with chefs in the cities, or farmers working with, with industry or research and technological center in the city. So you must to bring these bridges between the two worlds. And I will say that perhaps it is said these days that digitalization is going to transform all the sector, and perhaps we can live in one part of the world and work for a company that is set up in other part of the world. I'm not so sure about this, but perhaps could be could be the future, could be a part of the solution of the future. I don't know. I'm not so sure. Who knows? The future will say.
Oh yeah, the future will say, and unfortunately we don't have time for any more questions. So, we can continue this conversation at one of our networking events. But thank you very much for joining us here today, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming activities. And we will now move on to the outside the box learning from others. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
And we are back, and you're back as well, which is great to see. We are right here at the second day in this beautiful concert hall right here in Bruges, and of course, welcome back to our online audience. We're glad that you're watching from all over the globe, and I hope that these masterclasses this morning were, of course, very inspiring, and that everybody feels encouraged. I'm just going to ask you right now, do you feel encouraged? Oh, wow, okay, excellent. Still a bit early today, I can imagine. No worries, no worries. We're gonna move on. We're almost halfway, of course, through the second day of the 6th UNWTO Forum, and now is the time to learn from some exciting experiences from all across the globe. And when I say across the globe, I mean it. We're gonna go to Portugal, we're gonna go to the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. And to guide us through it, I would like to introduce you to the coordinator of the Master's Degree in Food Tourism and the Basque Culinary Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. David Moura. Have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. First. No, jump. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you enjoy the masterclasses. I had a chance to attend 2 of them, and they were extremely interesting. And now we have 4 best practices to learn from. As the moderator already introduced me, I'm David Moura from Basque Culinary Center, coordinating the master's degree in culinary tourism. And of course, we're going to talk about food tourism and the importance of the product in developing food tourism in our countries. The other day, I was listening to a radio interview with a cook from a small town in the province of León in Spain. I don't know if you heard of that province. Is indeed, let's say, northwest. And León is half the size of Belgium, more or less. Belgium has a density of a population of 400 inhabitants per square kilometers, and León has 30. So it's what we call the empty or the emptied Spain. We have a great problem with that. And other countries in Europe have such problem too. So this cook from this very small town in this empty province said, and what I think is one of the key mottos of this forum, food or culinary tourism is the best antidote against depopulation. So it's very important for our countries to generate these synergies between the tourism industry and the primary sector. And that's also the challenge that we are facing. They are putting their faith on us to keep living there, to keep living how they have been living for decades, for centuries. And today we have 4 very interesting examples on how to merge the production of produce in these 4 countries, and also the development of food tourism. To start with, we'll go to Portugal with Paulo Barata. He was born in Angola the same year as myself, and now he lives in Lisboa, and he runs a PR communication agency specializing in gastronomy. And a visit to Modena, that rings a bell, Modena, changed Paulo's life, and as he understood what a cheese, a tomato, or vinegar can do for the promotion of culture and development of a region. And now, as the creative director of Amuse-Bouche, this agency, now he has the chance to create and curate events like Arrebita Portugal. Please, Paulo.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you to Basque Culinary Center and the United Nations World Tourism Organization. I'm a bit nervous, I have to confess. I'm a backstage person. I'm a person of the field. And so I will tell you a bit of my story. Yesterday I heard Ana Rosa. I'm a bit like her. I studied photography. I was photojournalist during 12 years of my life. I traveled a lot. And so I could never imagine that I was here today sharing a project that was spontaneous in my life, like everything in my life was spontaneous. And so here I go. So I fell in love for the gastronomy in 2007 when I went to the first for the first top food event in Portugal. I was shooting there during 7 years. 2 years after, I leave my wallet of journalist, and I fall in love to the kitchen in a high level, where I met all the stars in the world: Massimo Bottura, Juan Roca from Spain, all of them. And it was an empirical work. And suddenly, I decided to create with my wife a food agency only related with food, because again. In my career, I always have this necessity to find great stories, and that's why we have it with the chefs. The Herbita projects, I have to take my notes, sorry. So the Herbita projects means Raise Up Portugal. So when the COVID arrives, we lose all our business. In 2 weeks, we lose 90% of our clients. So this was something to make us survive, and also the objective of this event, Raise Up Portugal, was to help the restauration community, especially the restaurants and chefs, and then again the communities. Our unique angle was to do this outside Lisbon or Oporto. I will speak today about Herbita Idanha. It's in the central east part of Portugal, 3 hours by car from Lisbon or from Oporto, 3 hours from Madrid. And why we went to the middle of nowhere. I like to say to the middle of nowhere, because here we find space, we find liberty, we find comfort for the people to come to us. The first edition that happens on October last year, it was something unique. We didn't expect so many people. We had 8,000 persons in 2 days. 1 week later, the country closed again. And I have to tell you, this was it was the work of my life. I never stressed so much. Because we were pioneers, because we were speaking with the authorities, we were learning with them, we were learning with us. We get a formula of a permanent flotation, only one way. So we have an entrance in the festival and a way out. And this was amazing. So we were in a natural place. In the first edition, we were in a valley with 450 million of years, a fossil park. Everyone said, Paulo, you are crazy, it's impossible to bring chefs here. I said, no, let's do it, because this is a magic valley. And on the second day, we went to a historic village of Portugal. We have 12 with 60 inhabitants, with a middle age of 70 years old. So it was a unique challenge to deal with people from the interior. Our interior is, I can say, is not like here in Belgium or even in Spain. I like to say it, some parts of Portugal make me remember the 19th century. It's really closed areas, very poor areas with few education, and this was a challenge for me. I was feeling at home because of one of my challenges to be one of the things that I got from the photojournalism. It was to speak with people in an honest way, to get them their best. And I have to say, in the end of these editions, I feel empty of energy because I have to take care of everything. I remember in the first edition, we put a chef in front of a church, and suddenly 2 hours before the beginning of the festival, someone says, Paulo, there will be a funeral in front of the church, in the church, so we have to move out the funeral to another church. So this is the things that are happening in the interior. So it's very, very, very demanding, very, very, very unique. So what else? One of the formulas of this, maybe I will pass the video first, and then I will continue it. So this is about Herbita Idanha, okay, in the real interior of Portugal. Thank you so much. So this was the, I have to go back, this was the only event that happened in Portugal. We produced this in 2.5 weeks. It was really, really a challenge because we were dealing with the news, the country will close, not closing, so it was a real big stress for me. And only 1 week before that we get the green light to do it. For this project, we also received the award of Portuguese Gastronomy Academy. And this was, as I told you, to support the restaurants, the chefs. It was really a chaos in Portugal. I think I made about 100,000 phone calls to get 35 guys in 2 weeks. And the food was the motor, the engine to do this. As everyone knows, the food is everything. It's politics, it's everything that you want, and really unites people. And it was a way also for one of the things that make me happy that the Portuguese discovered their own country. Most of the Portuguese, they don't know their country when they go outside Lisbon or Porto. They go to the beach in south of Portugal. So this was a real challenge. We got people from all over country doing 3 hours by car, 4 hours by car, and this was really amazing. One of our formulas, maybe I will show my PowerPoint then. So let me see. So we were to this region. This region is the first bioregion in Portugal. Also, it was very important for us. We were in a natural park, in a village with, as I told you, with 2,000 years. And one of our formulas was the amount of chefs. For the first time, we had in an event 15 chefs a day, and we invite the Michelin stars guys specialized in fire, in vegetarians, pastry chefs. It was a big salad. Sorry, my expression. We had the best chefs in Portugal, and this was unique. You know, and again, I asked them to only use local produce, to research the traditions of Portugal. This is one of my characteristics. I'm a demanding guy. I don't allow that the chefs bring food that already exists in their menu. They need to be true, okay? And it was, and then so most of the chefs they use only products from the region. This was also a great work, also very demanding work, putting everyone in contact with the producers. You know, most of the producers they never work with the chef, so it was something challenging, you know, to send to the chefs good products in good conditions with a good size. You know, all those things of the fine dining industry. Maybe I will put down my PowerPoint. Only to.
Or would you have like 1 minute left? So
1 minute left. Maybe I will go out then. So maybe I don't want if you continue.
Yeah, maybe afterwards we have some time for some questions. Thank you very much.
Only one more thing. So we have an impact of 300,000 euros in the first edition. This is also very important. We need to leave something with them. I have to say, the main word in this production was love. When you work in interior, you need to give love in a true way. I like to feel at home. I remember one of the guys from the village says, "Paulo, please don't go to the other village to do the festival. Stay with us. You know, next year we will do something because they are rival village. Only to finish. Next year we will hire a bus to put the old guys connecting with the other village again to have a social impact. Very important for us, the social impact as a social economic impact. That's it.
Fantastic, Paulo.
Sorry, I have a lot to tell.
Obrigado. Congratulations for this success. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we fly from our neighbors from Portugal to Saudi Arabia, where we will get to know more about the production of coffee. Of course, Arabica, the best coffee in the world, produced in rural areas. For that, we have today the presence of Mr. Abdullah Altokais. Dr. Altokais is the head of research and development center at the Saudi Heritage Preservation Society. And he's an expert, of course, on Saudi heritage and focus on research about heritage tourism, ecotourism, as a tool or means for community empowerment, economic growth, and resource conservation. Please, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Pleased to be here with you, and I would like to thank the UNWTO and all organizing partners to organize this forum successfully. Thank you, David, for moderating this session. So, to begin with, as depending on where you're from, how do you pronounce it, or how do you drink it, how with milk, with sugar, plain, or how do you prefer it, light roasted, dark roasted, who doesn't like coffee, or the fruit itself. So, however, we have been focused so much on the end product, but paid little attention to the journey and process of coffee production to our daily cups, which brings us to our case study. In the southwest highlands in Saudi Arabia are historical lands that used for cultivating coffee, dated back for more than 300 years ago, with traditions passed down from one generation to the next through non-formal education and practical training. And the name of the mountains and the coffee derived from the tribes that inhabited the place, called Khawlani. So it's called Khawlani beans. For the farmers, located in the Jazan region, Jazan has 16 provinces, 6 of which practice the cultivation of coffee, and one of them, it's called a Dair, accounts for 80% of the total plantation in the area. And for the farmers themselves, it's like working in the coffee industry is a highly respected vocation and gives them a cultural identity and status in the region. And there are about 700 farmers working on about 80,000 coffee trees and producing about 500 tons each year. Most of the cultivation using organic cultivation practices, resulting in net revenue about $150,000 per year. Saudi coffee serves as used widely as a traditional drink, associated and served the country's deep root and hospitality of the Saudis, and also used for medicinal purposes as well. This is overall of the 6 provinces that practice the cultivation of coffee in Saudi, and where the Jazan region located within Saudi Arabia. However, within the practice of cultivation coffee, there are several issues and challenges associated with the practice itself, and that include but not limited to the following, like supply and demand side. Khawlani coffee has the highest quality of coffee in the region, I would say, and maybe in the world as well. And it's popular among the Saudis themselves. But that led to the emergence of black markets and scammers using coffee from other regions or from other parts of the world using the name of the region, and they sell them with lower prices, and that limited the profitability of the farmers themselves. Another issue associated with that is the water resources. Farmers and locals using traditional farming techniques, terraced farming technology, and that's causing a problem because the area experienced drought and lack of rain, which is threatening the practice itself. Also, human-wildlife conflict is something in some parts of the world. Elephants destroy crops, but in this case, monkeys destroy the crops of the farmers, and there's a huge impact on that. The other issue would be lack of infrastructure. These farms located in the rugged mountains, and going up or going down, carrying the cargo is a dangerous journey. In addition, there is also the lack of expertise. Rural communities use traditional farming, and there's a lack of expertise that can work and assist advancing farming technology to adapt with climate change and other issues. And the last thing is, when it comes to always farming community ask, when it comes to population growth, what's our kids gonna go? What's our kids gonna do? Will they become farmers or they migrate to urban communities or urban areas? Within these issues and challenges, what the community did is that they formed local societies and gathered to overcome the obstacles they face and figure out ways that sustain their livelihood that depends on one single source of income. So what they think about is either we abandon our practices or lease our farms to large corporates. So the first thing they come up with is, let's diversify our products. The first thing is using the outer layer of the coffee fruit itself. It's used locally as a drink when they mix it with hot water. So they said, okay, let's go start from here, since the outer layer of the coffee fruits account for 40% of the fruit itself. So they started to promote it and become popular. And they started to sell the outer layer of the coffee fruits. And not only that, but also each layer from the fruit itself, it's use unique coffee drink. So that was the start. Then what they did is, okay, let's do a trademark. Let's protect our product. So no one else can fake this product itself. It's unique for us, for our region, and it's very limited. So if we don't protect it, who else is going to do it? So it's all of it is community-based practices and community-based approach, bottom up. The other thing is, like they said, is like, okay, let's organize a festival and to have an opportunity. Farmers engage with each other and also with the public. So let's learn from each other. And that resulted, also supported by the local municipalities, and resulted in attendance around 50,000 visitors annually. That's raised the awareness and the practice placed and the effort on coffee cultivation in the region. This public exposure led the Tourist Guide Society to create gastronomy tours and to provide tourists with hand-on experience on the know-how of cultivation practices from the farmers themselves, and with collaboration with them. This public exposure and raising awareness of the issues and practices in the community themselves also attracted several CSR initiatives. And one of them is training 500 farmers on how to advance your skills or techniques in terms of irrigating, and how to limit, instead of like, okay, watching your crops every day, maybe there's a technique, you do it every other day. Or so working with them to improve their skills and techniques to sustain their practice. Another important initiative was led by the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture with the collaboration of locals, is to rehabilitate the terraces in their mountains to collect rainwater. So water, I mean, it's like it's in the mountains that it's hard, that you cannot like take water tanks up, or you can supply it. It's like it's costly and sometimes not feasible. So what they did is like try to work on the traditional aspect of it, and they improved the current situation. This helped agricultural practices in addition to preserving the landscape. So preserving the landscape was an important thing, as tourists attracted to the unique sceneries while hiking through coffee farms. And tourists were not only interested in this, but also to experience the local traditions, and what are the farming tools they are using, what are the preparation methods used in making food, and not only that, also for the tangible aspect of you have a unique architectural style, what are you using, how that's linked to the farming, how farming linked to the environment, and all that stuff. For us, as we know, tourists, the most important thing for them is desired experience. And what helped the region to develop and grow is the authentic experience that offers, ranging from environment and environmental to cultural to gastronomy tour, and also emphasizing more on the intangible cultural aspects. Tourists, they started to think about, okay, so you have a unique aspect. Well, you sing when you cultivate. You sing when you, water your crops. You have storytelling when you do all these practices. So this kind of adds up to the experience itself. And also, locals were eager to share their experiences and share their tradition and rituals when they serve coffee, when they pour the coffee, when they make the coffee. So it has all these unique aspects and characteristics. To conclude with, rural development can strive when there is a link and synergies between natural environments, tangible and intangible cultural heritage. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very interesting. And Abdullah mentioned one thing that I suppose is also of key importance for CHAMP, for our next speaker, regarding the protection of denomination of origin. In this case, CHAMP will speak about one of the most famous Dutch products, which is cheese. Mr. Bowman, he's a professional in marketing. He has been working in the tourism sector already for 15 years. And he worked as a freelance project manager for the Netherlands Board of Tourism and Conventions and other Dutch DMOs. Please, jump.
Thank you, David. Do you mind if I stand up?
Please.
Easier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So from coffee to cheese.
What I get next.
Bear with me. Thank you for having us. Thank you to the organization. The first thing I addressed when I was signing up for this speech, the title was Promoting Regional Projects Through a Work of Art. And it sounds a bit funny, but I'll get to it in the end. So bear with me. As you all know, the Netherlands is well known for all the products we produce. We have world-class products. But sadly, it's lesser known that the last, let's say, 15 or 20 years, our gastronomy, our chefs, our restaurants, they really took off as well. We're still far behind our Flemish host of today, but we're catching up really fast. So we're doing good. But that's why we decided some 6 years ago, working for the Dutch Tourist Board, that we wanted to start promoting Dutch food and cuisine. And nowadays, a few years later, we're forming coalitions in different regions of the country to see if we can form them and help regions to evolve into being more attractive for visitors. I think a lot has been said already about all the benefits for rural economies, but to stress out a few, we do think that these regions, it will help visitors to attract visitors and their spending as well. You know, it's a high yield tourism, but it will also help people to, local people to have more identity with the region they come from. I see this very much in the cheese region, which I will speak about later. But it helps them to really become an ambassador of that as well. So it helps to revitalize rural economies. And we also see that it helps, for instance, farmers to form new business models. For us as the Dutch Tourist Board, it's very important that we help regions to be stronger in positioning themselves as food regions. But we're there for the visitor as well. So we want to enhance the experience of the local products. So accessibility is really important. Can people find where they need to go to experience the product? And in the end, we would like to attract more valuable visitors to those regions. In Cheese Valley, as we call it, I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but we're still in marketing, right? So we thought we can do that. But in Cheese Valley, our approach really took off. Because now in Cheese Valley, we're working with 4 municipalities. We're working with 2 provinces and about 6 private parties as well. And that's a real Dutch model, that we combine public and private parties to together work on a positioning. And if you look at this picture, you can meet Cheese Valley. And the funny thing is that it is a real rural area in the Netherlands. We call it our green heart, but it's right in the center of the big cities. So it's very close to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Utrecht. So it's also easy for people to visit for a half a day or a day when they're in those bigger cities. But it's a real green part of the country. It's all meadows, it's all cows, it's all water, and it's all cheese. But the most important part of this part of the country is, because we make cheese everywhere in the country, but this is the part where the cheese is still made on the farms. And so that's the part we want to attract visitors, to show them that real cheese, real Dutch cheese, comes from the farm. And every journey brings new ideas. So what happened when we started talking about this and we started to find partners who wanted to team up with us in this pursuit of getting Cheese Valley to be better known in the world, we found two, let's say, crazy Dutch guys called Jeroen and Jasper, and they're artists, and they produced a replica, a 3D replica of a food still life. And the picture here that you see is actually the replica already. So it's 3D and it's made of real products. And the original from Floris Claes van Dijk is in the Gallery of Honor in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. So it's a well-known painting. But they reproduced it in a 3D form. And in the center of the painting, yes, you can see there's a big Dutch cheese. So nowadays, we team up with these guys because thinking out of the box, you need to think, okay, how can we position this real Dutch farmer's cheese on places that people would not expect to find the cheese? So we had a little break, as most of us had last year. But in September, we went to the Salone del Mobile in Milano, which is a design fair. But we presented this artwork there at a world-class stage. And it was also a perfect position for us to let people see this artwork, because people are amazed when they see it. But it's also the perfect moment to start talking to them, and explain where the cheese is from, and obviously let them taste the cheese. And if you can see what happens, this is in the embassy in Paris. So here you see the copy. And the funny thing is that people want to go and take a picture with it. So people will start standing in line and wait for their time to come to the painting, and then take a picture with the painting. And so for us, as MBTC, as Cheese Valley, this is a perfect example of how we somehow think out of the box, do crazy things, but it's the perfect moment to tell people about Cheese Valley, about real Dutch farmers' cheese. So where will this end? Nobody knows. We're working hard for it. On the right, you see this famous cheese platter, and we have to acknowledge there's no Dutch cheese on it, on this one. And I'm not sure if everybody will like it in the audience, but one of these cheeses needs to go, because we want our Dutch cheese back on that cheese platter again. So I all invite you to come to Cheese Valley and experience real Dutch farmers' cheese. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Alsjeblieft. Okay, so to close the loop, we've been in Europe, we've been in Asia, so we go to the country that's just in the middle. We go to Turkey, and here we have the pleasure to host Mr. Onur Gözet. He is the Deputy Director General for Promotion, Ministry of Culture and Tourism of the Republic of Turkey. And Mr. Gözet will introduce us to the case of the UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy, and I have to read this, Afyonkarahisar.
With your permission.
I'm sorry, sir.
No problem. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Dear colleagues, on behalf of the Minister of Culture and Tourism of Republic of Turkey and the Turkey Tourism Promotional Development Agency, I would like to greet you all, and I would like to thank UNWTO, Basque Culinary Center, Visit Flanders, and City of Bruges for this wonderful organization. First of all, if I may brief Turkish cuisine. The Turkish cuisine is a very large and tolerant synthesis cuisine, extending from the countryside to the Ottoman palace, enriching with new touches without losing its original creativity, combining the multicultural structure of the palace and ethnic structure of the society in the same pot. The richness of the cultures that lived in Anatolia, the historical background and diversity of materials and methods that emerge as a result of the human geography relations are important factors that bring about richness of Turkish cuisine. When we come to the city of Afyonkarahisar, which is shortly known as Afyon, it has a fabulous geography where underground and ground treasures meet, and the beauties. Afyon is a peace and faith center, and Afyon is the heart of Anatolia because of its location. Afyon is in the central western region of Turkey, famous for its hot springs, and Afyon's history dates back to 3,000 years BCE, with continuous settlement of various civilizations. Afyon is a city where traditional culture and modernity can exist inclusively. Afyon is a cultural and physical passage in Anatolia for centuries. Afyon is the center of marble industry, wellness tourism, opium, and lokum, which is known as Turkish delight, and kaymak, clotted buffalo milk cream, and sausage in Turkey. Wellness and gastronomy tourism destination due to the rich natural and cultural resources, and Afyon is a member to the European Historic Thermal Towns Association in 2019 and also a member of Cultural Roots of the Council of Europe, European Route of Historic Thermal Towns. The city has two UNESCO World Heritage tentative list elements, mountainous Phrygia and Afyon Great Mosque. And Afyon is rich in historical artifacts covering historical ruins of the Hittites, Phrygians, Seljuks, and Ottoman periods. Afyon, the third UNESCO city of gastronomy in Turkey, after Gaziantep and Hatay. As a UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy since 2019, Afyon has committed itself to utilizing eco-friendly means and measures to support its activities related to cultural and creative fields. Deep agricultural history and culinary heritage, a unique food culture with rich product variety, whole food chain combining biodiversity and creativity, sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development at the rural-urban levels, strong culinary communities with local chefs, folk and rural cooks, and housewives as well, and success driven by teamwork and collaboration among local governmental bodies, NGOs, and the local community as well. Recently, the city launched the food waste reduction project, to further raise awareness as well as mobilize its inhabitants on topics related to sustainable food systems and zero waste approaches. Within Afyon, the food manufacturing sector, consisting of over 800 companies, not only provides vast employment opportunities within the region, but also contributes to 26% of the export economy of the city. With animal husbandry also being at the core of the economy, charcuterie is a key feature within the gastronomy culture. This endorsement of rural agriculture promotes the use of healthy and organic raw materials within local cuisine and drives a sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development at rural and urban levels. There are 211 registered chefs in Afyon, and also strong supporting sectors such as food manufacturing firms, salesmen, raw material suppliers, farmers and livestock raisers, thermal hotels, which the cuisine is one of the most important and distinguished characteristics. There are also 4 local NGOs working on gastronomy sector in Afyon. Afyon Karahisar's rich history has led to a diverse culinary heritage with typical dishes such as pastırma, it's a type of curd meat, sucuk, a type of sausage meat made with ground beef or chicken, seasoned with garlic, salt, pepper, paprika, and thyme, and the ekmek kadayıfı dessert, which is bread pudding covered with pistachios, nuts, and kaymak, a type of buffalo milk cream. Gastronomy is a significant part of every life in Afyon, and special dishes such as keşkek are often center points in the key events like weddings and and religious ceremonies. And also it's registered also in UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. What to taste in Afyon? Afyon has more than 600 recipes and 36 geographical indicators, like Afyon kaymaklı ekmek kadayıfı, and Afyon kaymağı, Afyon sucuğu, which is called as Turkish sucuk, mineral water, haşhaş, the poppy seed used in many pastries, and kaymaklı Afyon lokumu, its clotted cream, Turkish delight. There is the egg museum in Afyon, which is the 6th in the world and the 1st in Turkey. Both eggs of animals from different species and eggs are turned into artworks, are exhibited in the egg museum, and everything, you can witness everything all about egg is in the same place. Afyon also is one of the important cities hosting major sports organizations such as the World Motocross Championship, MXGP of Turkey. Afyon has been hosting the event for 3 years. It's also an important factor in the tourism activity and tourism facilities in Afyon. As the Minister of Culture and Tourism and the Turkey Tourism Promotion and Development Agency, we launched a destination management and marketing project for 81 cities of Turkey. And also the destinations with the partnership of local stakeholders, governorships, municipalities, tourism gastronomy sector representatives, NGOs, and also universities. The main objective of the program is to establish destination marketing organizations in each city as to function in cooperation with the Ministry and the Turkey Tourism Promotion and Development Agency. As one of the outcomes of the project, the newly revised digital experience platform, promotional platform of Turkey, Go Turkiye, covers 81 cities, 7 regions, destinations, and 50 experiences in 10 languages. It has now 4 million visitors per month, and our target is to have 8 million visitors. The microsite within Go Turkiye portal, goafyonturkiye.com, in the platform promotes Afyon with 5 senses: see, smell, listen, touch, and taste. As a creative city of gastronomy, Afyon envisages, first of all, sustainable growth in tourism and food economy, international recognition and cooperation, and sustainable socio-economic development of rural areas. Lastly, I would like to mention the Safe Tourism Program of Turkey. It was announced as of June the 1st, 2020, and up to now more than 11,000 facilities and vehicles have received Safe Tourism certificates. The scope of the program is to welcome travelers in a safe environment and to ensure the health and safety of tourism employees and also the residents with utmost priority. The program covers accommodation facilities, restaurants and cafes, tour and transfer vehicles, culture, art and congress facilities, ski lift facilities, marine tourism facilities and vehicles, and theme parks. For the facilities that obtain Safe Tourism certificate, certification and inspections are realized by internationally recognized auditing institutions. And Safe Tourism Certification Program is mandatory for accommodation facilities which have in 30 and more rooms. And the program is also sustainable even after the pandemic as an overall hygiene standard of tourism sector in Turkey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gosset. Okay, so we are actually running out of time. I can also assure you that drinking Belgian beer is very safe because I've drunk a lot these days and I still feel great. And I think we have the chance actually afterwards to taste this great product. And I request a great applause for the speakers today. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, David.
Many thanks to all of you speakers. A round of applause for these guys, please. Thank you. Thank you for debating. Thank you for having your insights. Thank you, Mr. Mora. I will certainly remember that Silicon Valley is in the US, but Cheese Valley is in the Netherlands. Even better. Now, to provide us with the closing remarks and to summarize what we've been preaching and teaching, I would like to re-invite to the stage Mr. José Aizega, Mr. De Wilde, and Mr. Alderman of Work and Enterprise of the City of Bruges, Mr. Pablo Anes, and to start with none other than Miss Sandra Carvalho. Round of applause.
Thank you very much. First of all, to our MC, who's done an amazing job for taking us through this 2 amazing days here in Bruges. I obviously want to thank our long-term partners, the Basque Culinary Center, who with us started to imagine this event. And it's good to see that more and more destinations are now coming to us to host it, which means that the value of it is proven. Also thanking the City of Bruges. It's been an amazing experience. I think we're all going to take back very fond memories and a lot of notes to share with your friends and come back again. Thank you also to Visit Flanders and all the team behind it and working with us. It's been a very tasty journey. It's been really a pleasure to work with everyone here. On behalf of the World Tourism Organization, I'd just like to leave you with a few thoughts for the next steps of this important issue, how gastronomy tourism can actually be an effective driver of rural development. Few conclusions. We will have a full document coming out later next month that we and the Basque Culinary Center will be working on and will share with all participants. But just to take us back home with a few thoughts on the next steps, a call for action from here, from Bruges, on how to really make gastronomy tourism a driver of rural development. So, as we've seen, the development of gastronomy tourism represents a valuable opportunity in rural areas to build inclusive economies, and it can boost local businesses, social and economic integration, personal fulfillment, self-esteem and value, which was something that came out very strongly in our discussions, and social development. Gastronomy tourism, we've seen, adds vitality to rural communities, connecting via marketplaces, festivals, stories, receipts, and memories. And we heard about how important it is to find those stories and tell about them. It can support small local producers and strengthen their position in the market, contributing to add value to the tourism experiences while promoting the preservation and development of local products, culinary traditions, and know-how, but also to the preservation of biodiversity. So to ensure that gastronomy tourism can indeed be a driver of rural development, the following actions are proposed to be considered. 1, to strengthen the policy coordination between tourism, agriculture, rural development, policies at global, national, and local level. 2, to make sure that we include gastronomy tourism as part of tourism recovery strategies as we emerge from COVID and we hope to build back better. This is the way to support jobs and inclusive economies, as tourism and gastronomy have an immense multiplier effect. To promote gastronomy tourism as a tool of effectively spreading tourist flows over time and space towards rural areas, and therefore to make sure that we can also contribute with gastronomy tourism to reduce the pressure on destinations with higher concentration of demand. Fourth point, to promote gastronomy tourism strategies and practices that ensure the sustainable use of resources, the valorization of local products and know-how, responsible consumption, and circular economy principles. The fifth point touches on the importance of underpinning the cultural identity of destinations by promoting gastronomy, local products and knowledge, and its full integration into the tourism value chain. And this is often one of the biggest challenges we have. Sixth point, to advance initiatives that promote innovation and skills for gastronomy and for tourism, linking rural areas and creating conditions for investment, attracting and retention of talent, which is a key element in many areas which are losing more and more population, but also very importantly to create links between rural and urban areas. 7 point, to incentivize the digitalization of the gastronomy tourism in rural areas to promote their market reach and impact and increase the economic impact of tourism in these destinations. We have seen some of the startups actually as an example of how can we create that marketplace in a new way. And finally, to leave you with a last task for all of us, to support the development and promotion of African gastronomy as a key asset to enhance the image of Africa and create value for jobs in the tourism sector and a means of economic development for the whole continent. I want to end up by thanking all of you who came from different places in the world in such challenging times. We had people from India, from Japan, from Uruguay, from the Maldives. I think this is probably one of the first events at UNWTO that we organize, which is a diversity of regional representativeness. So thank you very much for coming. We're very happy to see that the safe return of events and knowledge sharing has become a reality in our sector. Also want to thank all of those that followed us online. We had almost 2,000 people registered to join us. And all this knowledge will be online available to everyone that wants to share it and enjoy it afterwards as well. With that said, very much looking forward to see you all again next year in Nara and to continue working together for the sake of sustainable, inclusive tourism. And as we start the COP26 these days, to make sure that we are really a driver of transformation in our sector. Thank you very much.
Well, in these 2 days, this has gone so fast, no? And we have covered so many topics, so many insights connected with gastronomy tourism. It has been great. Thank you so much to all the participants and moderators for making it possible, for sharing. And well, I think we have, all of us, we have a lot of notes, a lot of reflections that we can take with us and apply them in our decisions, new projects, initiatives that we can launch. Sandra has read the preliminary conclusions that we have worked. So from my side, I'm not going to go much more in depth in that conclusions, but I would like share 3 personal reflections about what we have talked during these 2 days. I think it's one challenge is we have to keep working in the attraction of talent into our sector. For me, well, I I think there is in many countries, there is a competition about attracting talent to a sector because, well, we see every sector is, I would say, competing to get the right people involved, and gastronomy tourism and hospitality needs to make an effort to keep attracting talent and passionate people to our businesses. So for me, talent will be one of the biggest challenges in the future. Second, for me, also the future comes with innovation and entrepreneurship. And I think, well, we have done, also we have seen the startups that they pitched yesterday, but I would say entrepreneurship in the whole value chain, not only in the startup dimension, of course, in technology and digital possibilities and digital opportunities, but also entrepreneurship and innovation in the whole value chain. I think it's the second big challenge. And the third one is also listening yesterday to Anna Ross, for example. I think many times what is happening that the public policy and the strategies are in one level, but many times we forget the actors that are creating value, and even themselves are very stressed in this moment. So we have to be aware that the actors in gastronomy that are creating value are small companies, and they need support. And I think for me it's important to take care of the actors in one territory that are relevant, that are the ones that create value. So I would say that there are very personal reflections, but I wanted to share. Of course, thank you so much to the City of Bruges for being such a host, to Visit Flanders also for making everything easy. We have enjoyed very much. Well, it's not finished yet. We have still some activities, and probably you will talk after about them. Bruges Unplugged. So yeah, we have in the afternoon that activity. And so thank you so much. And finally, tomorrow we will start working on the next forum, the next World Forum Gastronomy Tourism, as Sandra said, is going to happen in Nara Prefecture in Japan. Every forum is at the same time an opportunity to have great insights, great reflections, learnings, but also an opportunity to discover the destination. So next year we will have the opportunity to discover the universe of Japanese gastronomy. So see you in Nara. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, our city is very eager to welcome guests, but we hate to say farewell. We much rather abide by the song of Vera Lynn, "We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when." I hope you have enjoyed your stay in our historic city center, and I am convinced that you will discover some other beautiful spots this afternoon during your culinary experiences. And I have very good news for you. The sun will be there. This evening, we will see each other again on another interesting and informal gathering in the brewery The Halve Maan. When the city brewery kept facing the problem of their beer transportation trucks causing traffic jams on the narrow streets of Bruges, they came with the crazy idea to build a beer pipeline. The project, constructed 5 years ago, is 3 kilometers of underground piping that blasts 4,000 liters of Brugse Zot beer every hour. The destination is the brewery's bottling plant, which will have filled 12,000 bottles by day's end. It's an amazing example of sustainability in the food chain. So, if you want to see this evening the starting point of this pipeline, come to this Bruges Unplugged session that starts on 5 p.m. 30. I thank you very much for your visit to our city and hope to see you all again with your family in flavored Bruges. Thank you.
Well, to our dear friends from Saudi Arabia, you just have discovered now that we too have a pipeline. It's of less strategic importance, I'm not sure, but it's of far greater pleasure to the local population, let me assure you. Dear friends, I'm fully aware that I'm the last one standing between you and perhaps your lunch and wonderful experiences this afternoon, but I don't want to let you go without some final reflections from this old European, and it will be a fully European reflection to all my friends from around the world. We know that food brings people together. Tourism brings people together too. And the table is the place where we meet. The table is also where philosophy was born in Europe. But in fact, there were two places where philosophy was born in Europe: around the table or walking. And being around the table or walking exactly are two main tourism activities that we have to cherish and that we are rediscovering after this COVID crisis. But food, dear friends, also brings division. The lack of food, the lack of water, for instance, brings division around the world. And we have to be very much aware that this division can destroy human culture. And without wanting to dramatize this at this wonderful venue that we are at now, the Greeks already knew that every wisdom is already contained in your roots. The acorn contains, in fact, also the oak. And the Greeks devised a few wisdoms that are perfectly applicable to policy and to tourism policy in particular. There is the sense of measure, the sense of balance, what the Greeks call meden agan, nothing in too much of quantity. And at the COP that is taking place as we are speaking now, it is this sense of measure, this sense of balance that is very much into place, and that is very much also in the core of what we in tourism are doing now, restoring balance and restoring the sense of measure. A second idea that the Greeks had was the sense of excellence and competition. And it is a very European thing that we share with the world. Everybody knows our football competition, everybody knows the Eurovision competition. You also know, even when you're active in this sector, you know the 50 Best that we hosted a few weeks back here in Flanders. It's a culinary competition. The sense of competition is nothing without the love for what we do and the love for our home. The love for our home is something that we share. That was something very typical in Homer, for instance, that the Greeks also very much carried into their hearts. But the love for home is something that we discover in every region that is present here, and the pride of the pleasure also and the enjoyment without harming the environment and each other relates to the love of home, the love of your proper place. These are profoundly human values discovered through shared passion for great food. And I discovered this passion yesterday also in many meetings, in many talks that I had with you. But more in particular, I discovered it also that it is a global passion. I gathered it also from our dear friends from Nara. And Nara will be the next place where the next forum will be held. And I would like to welcome Mr. Tanaka Yoshiaki here to the stage, because we don't want to send him away without something to remember Flanders. It's a sweet surprise. And I would advise you not to eat it all before you get to the plane, because it will not become, it's something that you have to share. It's chocolate, ladies and gentlemen, and it contains the tree that we used yesterday as the image for sustainable and a balanced tourism. And it's something that I would like to give to our Japanese friends to take home with them. I don't hope I see it in Nara, because that would be very bad news indeed. The chocolate, like the beer, you have to taste it when it's fresh. Okay. With this being said, I think I'm done. I want to thank the World Tourism Organization for being with us here, for giving us the opportunity of showcasing Flanders. I want to thank the Basque Culinary Center for sharing their knowledge. I know that we live in a place, in a world where knowledge is kept secret from competitors, but we share knowledge, and it's so good to learn from your experience. I want to thank the city of Bruges for its warm hospitality. Although warm, well, it could be warmer, but we don't have these temperatures this time of the year. But warmth comes from the heart, and it's with this warm heart that I say goodbye and see you at the next event. Thank you.
Japan. Islands, volcanoes, and fertile mineral-rich soil, surrounded by cold and warm sea currents. A tropical south, a more temperate centre, up towards a cold North Island, all with very distinct, dramatic seasons. Here, Japan's traditions, respecting both ancient and new, have created an extraordinary gastronomy culture. Washoku, a way of producing, processing, and preparing food. Respecting nature, well-balanced, nutritious, emphasizing natural umami flavors. Indeed, washoku is now a World Heritage treasure. Multi-course kaiseki elegance and simplicity, for example, date back over 400 years. Modern Japan now serves it all. Traditional, regional, international, and fusion. But where did this worship of food begin? In the center of Japan's main island lie the ancient lands of Yamato, now called Nara. Yamato is home to the origins of Japanese civilization, the first permanent imperial capital. Nara today is a citywide World Heritage Site, Japan's largest collection of properties. A city of peace, where people and nature coexist in harmony. But it is in Nara's countryside that we find the secrets of Washoku. It was into this land of primeval forests and stone lanterns that Buddhism from overseas first flourished. Offerings to the gods evolved into dishes at court, vegetarian monastery meals, the codified dining of the samurai, as well as kaiseki for connoisseurs of food as art. The origins of sake rice wine also began in Nara. Nara's Four Seasons delivered then, and still deliver, a perfect farm-to-table system. With its fertile farmlands and traditional skills, Nara is actively nurturing the next generation of gastronomy leaders. The top reason that international visitors come to Japan is for its food culture. And Nara is where it all began. Food for both body and soul. Food grown and produced in a peaceful, natural environment. So come taste the origins of Japan in Nara.
Congratulations to Nara. I would like to thank all our speakers over these, past 2 days to share their insights with us all, because I think we all agree that it was really inspiring and really interesting. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that the official part of the forum is over. But of course, as you know, tonight we invite everybody for the official closing moment of the forum at the brewery with the pipeline and so on. But of course, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, or as we say, practice what you preach. And therefore, the city of Bruges and Visit Flanders would like UNWTO invite you all to discover the Flemish gastronomy tourism in the next few hours. All the live participants present right here today had the opportunity to register in advance for one of the 4 culinary experiences, and I can guarantee you it will be an experience. Now, listen very carefully, because this is a practicality that I will just say once, but it's really important for all you present right here, right now. In a moment, I invite you all to go downstairs where our guiding teams and shuttles are ready to take you on this true culinary trip, lunch included, but please don't wait too long because the shuttles will be leaving in 5 minutes. Go to the cloakroom, get your jackets, get to the shuttles, and everything will work fine. For you, our online viewers, we didn't forget you, especially for this hybrid experience. I went on a culinary journey to highlight 5 of Flanders' heritage products and gastronomic trends, from hops to beers, from bean to praline, from soil to dish, and so on, from farm to street, from sea to plate. The result is a collection of 5 beautiful episodes that you can watch this afternoon at your own ease. Right now, as you can see, everybody's moving already. It's time to move. It's time to discover Bruges and Flanders, time to enjoy. Thank you all for joining us online, and we'll see each other in Nara in Japan 2022. Thank you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.